just say, excuse me, or pardon me, sir. Instead of move on over, or get out of my way. 'Cause the way you treat another, that's the way they will treat you. The way you love another, that's the way they will love you. When I grew old and I went to school, I learned a lot of things and I learned a lot of rules. I learned about Shlomo Melech, how he was the wisest of them all. And one of the wise sayings Shlomo Melech did say is a thing that goes this way. Come on, body, body, they labor them, hell down. That the water reflects your face. So the heart of another reflects your heart. So just say excuse me, oh pardon me, sir. Instead of move on over, we'll get out of
Yeah, Yankee, there are 3 cameras. Which one am I looking at? There's the one in the middle? Good evening and good vach. Welcome and thank you for joining us for the Shloshim commemoration of our beloved friend and community leader, Yisroel Mordechai Teitelbaum. My name is Moshe Morgenstern, longtime friend and neighbor of the Teitelbaum family, and I'll be the MC for tonight. The format for tonight is that we'll first view a series of videotaped remarks and reminiscences from some of Sruli's many, many friends and colleagues made over more than 60 years as a shaliach, activist, pillar of the Morristown community. At the end of the video presentations, Rabbi Zalman Teitelbaum will conduct a siyum on the mishnayos we collectively learned for the Shloshim. After that, for those who wish to stay on, we'll hear some messages from Rabbi Teitelbaum's children and family members contributing and sharing their thoughts on this occasion. I first met Rabbi T in 1976 when I was a young bacher at the yeshiva, where he was already an established senior staff member and family man. I was struck by the quiet intensity of the man, but at the same time, he always seemed cheerful and accessible to a bacher with a question or an issue. After several years, I got married, and my wife and I settled in Morristown. I have many fond memories of those years, including being guests at the Teitelbaum Seder while my wife was expecting our first child. After a while, we moved into a house on Speedwell Avenue, right around the corner from the Teitelbaums on Speedwell Place, so it was inevitable that our families became closer. As our families grew, the bonds were woven even tighter. Either our children were at the Teitelbaums or their children were playing by us. The joint Seders, lively as they were, continued as did the classic combined Holomoid field trips to High Point State Park, where we made a fire, hiked, warmed up leftover chicken, and of course, the indispensable Teitelbaum delicacy, kremzelach, which until this day I have no idea what it was or what it's made of, but it was delicious. There are many praises that can be said, and soon you will hear about this remarkable man. But one that springs immediately to mind is that over a 40-year friendship, I cannot recall him ever saying an unkind word to me or anybody else, or about anybody else. There are also a few classical sayings he used to say that whenever I think about them, I will always hear them spoken in Sruli's unmistakable tone and accent. The first is, complaining and complaining and complaining, which was his inevitable response just before he let you know that doing, quote unquote, is far more effective than complaining, usually said in response to me complaining about something. Kamayim el panim, meaning that the face you show to others, angry or kind, will be the face that they show to you. His unshakable faith that goodwill and hard work will in the end win often lifted me up and gave me hope when I became resigned or cynical about the state of our country, Israel, or the world. I know that Sruli will be a good intercessor for his family and for the greater Jewish family. And I'm sure that up there in Gan Eden right now, he's cornering any angel or neshama he can find, and he's patiently explaining the importance of school choice. Our first video presentation is from Rabbi Wilshansky. Rabbi Zalman Wilshansky has been a shaliach of the Rebbe for many years, most of them as Rosh Yeshiva in Morristown, New Jersey. He's been the Rav of Congregation Levi Yitzchak since its founding in 1982, and a valued leader and mentor to the community ever since. His friendship with Sruli goes back almost 40 years.
To start to say something about the soul of Sholem, it's difficult to talk about him in the past and to say all of Sholem, but it is important to bring out some points. In Lubavitch, the minhag is not to make us pay them. You're not must be them nifter. But at the same time, the Rebbe told us, especially when it came to the Tira of the Rebbe Tznaler Sholem, that we must take to heart from the events of the departed one. And there are so many things that we can learn from his actions and for what he taught us. The Rambam paskins, Hamavir afilu kol shehu is chayiv. Somebody makes a fire on Shabbos is chayiv. But for hu shetzorich la'afoged, it's only if he needs the ashes. And the Rebbe points out that what we learn here is a very important thing. The malachas of Shabbos are malachas when they are bringing benefit. The benefit of a fire is if there is ashes left. And the Rebbe compared it to the soul that burns with a fire of longing to Hashem. And when the neshama is expiring and coming up l'mayla, in the fire of getting close to Hashem, the neshama wants and desires to have a residue left down here. The neshama is very much interested in having an impact on ma'asim tovim and things that are going to be done in this world. And this is why we have ma'asim tovim done for the schus of the neshama. And when it says Yizker, he's giving tzedakah and so forth. So it is a schus for the neshama if and when we learn and we get inspired by their ma'asim. And there is a lot to be inspired by Rabbi Schol, or Schuli, as we used to call him, Rabbi T, all over Sholem. He was, in his own life, a very, very committed person. I knew him, and I learned to know him many, many years ago when I came to yeshiva. It was in Tovshin Lamed Tes, it's a long time ago. He worked in the yeshiva. And he knew that if you needed something, you needed a favor, you could go to Rabbi Yisrael, and he's going to help you. He was a person, a Bal Chesed. He was also a Eid, and when we in Shul, he was always there. He was very, very, very makbid for the Tefillah B'tzibur. You come in a shul, sometimes when it's a small crowd, the chazan comes to Shmoneh Esrei, has to look around. Are the Shisha Mispalalim? Aren't the Shisha Mispalalim? You knew you didn't have to check if Rabbi T is davening with the Omed. He was there on time, he would daven with the Omed. He would daven with the minyan. He was committed. And after davening, he would learn. For years and years, he used to learn with seine Aufgeschütze lange Jungen, so sein gesund, Rabbi Gordon, Rabbi Schol Gordon. He used to learn every single morning at Shir and Gemara. And later on, we have a Shir here in Shul. He always was here. And Shiurim that were in Shul, he always was makpid to be mishtatef in Shiurim, in Verbringens, and so forth. And with Übergegebenkeit. And then he was a Eid that was very interested in Askonis Tziburis. He was a shliach of the Rebbe, and he was very, very devoted to Askonis, to helping both the Klal and the Prat. And here more is down. People might not know that in things that we take for granted, like the sidewalk outside of the yeshiva, between the yeshiva and downtown, a sidewalk that he has worked for and got the town to install. But even they said that it had to be taken care of by the people here, so he would go out there to shovel the snow. He did it himself. He was the one that made sure that there is a area around the yeshiva. He's a person that was committed simply and would not stand in any way. He was committed to something, he took it on and he would see it through. This is what Klal and this is what he brought. And we all know how devoted he was to make sure that people will have a normal education with a school choice. He was committed to have and to bring chesed, to bring the awareness of the Eibishter, the awareness of Yiddishkeit to Klal Yisrael. And this is something that we could learn from his Yerushalayim, from his adherence to daven with a minyan, to learn as one should, and to simply tzedakah v'chesed. As neshama have an aliyah, he should be having an aliyah in Gan Eden. He should be a good or better for his family. They should find nechama. His wife and his children should find nechama, warm themselves in the warm memories of his lichtige memories, and the Rebbe soll helfen, so sei kitze begannen the Sheikh Niyafer, and he should come back, and begannen it should be a simcha for him and for everybody around us with the coming of Mashiach, tekev umiyad mamish.
Rabbi Moshe Herson was of the first generation of Shluchim of the Rebbe. As a young man, he was tasked by the Rebbe to build up the new yeshiva on Grumman Avenue in Newark, New Jersey. He built the yeshiva into the sprawling campus it is today in Morristown, and he is now head shliach of New Jersey, overseeing dozens of Chabad moistus and Chabad houses from the north to the south of the state.
Rabbi Shmuel Mordechai Teitelbaum, known to all of us as Cerulli, worked for the Rabbinical College of America for many, many years. Started out when the yeshiva was still in Newark in a one-family house. From that point on, they moved to other states and returned to Morristown to work for many years of dedicated and devoted work. What was exemplary in his work was that never would anyone be able to mention or what note that there was any personal ego involved? Total dedication to the work, to the Moised, and to the Rebbe's work. He Zichrei Baruch, Tehi Nafshi Tzrura, B'Tzrura Chaim Es Hashem.
Rabbi Yitzchak Meir is a Chabad Shaliach and director of Anshe Lubavitch in North Miami Beach. He is the immediate younger brother of Rabbi T.
Each one of my brothers were very special in a different way. Sully, besides being my closest brother in age, and we used to always play together, he was also special that he gave tens of thousands of hours for free to help out all the schools in America. He used to work with all the senators around America and the congressmen. He was even called to the White House one time because of his work that he did to help out all the schools in America. So they should get money. I don't know if they appreciate it or if they know about it. A Gudda, for instance, was asked tens of years ago to help. They didn't put a finger in. All of a sudden, when the money starts coming in, all of a sudden they wake up, they're here. But he was really the pioneer that did all this. To appreciate how Sully, there was once a Din Torah with Rabbi Kunyan. My brother he was his right-hand man. And Sully won the Din Torah. But Kunyan wouldn't give in. Rabbi Shvei, I don't know if he was one of the Rabbanim, but he went into the Rebbe then. He had a Yechidus. And Sama told the Rebbe the whole story. And the Rebbe said like this: if Kunyan kann sich nicht durchmachen mit Sully, darf auch nicht der ganze California. You're forgetting, California has hundreds of Chabad houses. The Rebbe was so concerned about every single person, especially Sully. And he said, if you can't get along with Sully, I don't need the whole California. The Rebbe did not appreciate when people didn't get along with one another. And Sully gave himself his whole life to help out and to be, he gave, even when he wasn't mechuyev to work, at night, he used to work and go into the offices and help. Another thing is, people don't realize that Sully went through the entire Shas with Yisrael Gordon when he lived there. And besides just Nigla, he used to learn many, many hours Hasidus before he did his other work. There's this Dr. Weiss, learned with him, I think, quite a number of times a week. It was so close that when Sully was sick, he spent days with him, and he traveled with him for hours to Connecticut and to other places, and Mamish was there for him all the time. But Sully was also close. It was very close to all the people in the yeshiva in Morristown. And I envy that because I don't have such a nice clique over here in Florida. We don't have that in Florida. We have other things. We have the sun, but not the beautiful friendship that they have in Morristown. Also, Sully was one of the pioneers of the main camps of America. That was in the 1960s. Sully was the head counselor together with Manas Friedman. And he held the camp together for many, many years. It was very, very successful. I think it was 1967, 68, and 69, and maybe 66 too, I believe. And also later, he made a camp in Morristown for the kids there. And through both camps, he was Makar of thousands of kids. Now, Sully is named after my Zayda, Rabbi Yisrael Motcha. Yisrael Motcha was nifta in 1944. And Sully were 6 brothers, and Sully was the fourth brother born after my Zayda passed away. So he was named, my father named him after my Zayda. And just to give you an idea who the Zayda was. My Zayda, first of all, he knew the whole Zoya Balpeh and other Kabbalah Sfarim by heart. My father Zayda, in his earlier years, he taught the first Kapitchen Rebbe, which I'm named after, Yitzchak Meir. And in later years, he was his Gabbai. Now, I just want to end off one more thing with Sully. Sully passed away on the same day as Rachel Imenu, Yud Aleph Cheshvan. And what does it say about Yud Aleph Cheshvan? We read it on Rosh Hashanah too. It says Rachel Mavakal Baneha. By the way, that's a pasuk in Yud Dalet. Suli is born also on Yud Dalet Shvat, so it fits in. Anyway, it says Rachel Mavakal Baneha and Me'ano Li'nochem Al Baneha. And what does it say later? Shavu Bonim L'Gevulam. So Mirz Hashem, in the near future, we should be zeichet to the Geula, V'hu B'teichem L'chaim.
L'chaim, l'chaim. I wish, actually, we should have a little something to say l'chaim. Rabbi Yitzchak Meir Teitelbaum mentioned Sruli's work with the New Jersey, the Trenton Assembly, and Senate. And actually, we received this the other day from Mrs. Teitelbaum, from Chaya, that there was actually a joint declaration, a commendation by Senator Gerald Cardinal and Assemblyman Robert Auth and Assemblywoman Holly T. Shepsey. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'll read a few of the whereases. So these three legislators note with sorrow the death of Rabbi Israel Marcus Teitelbaum, who passed away on October 29th, 2020, at the age of 75. Whereas a former Chabad emissary who worked across several states, Rabbi Israel Marcus Teitelbaum then settled in Morristown to lend his wisdom as administrator and registrar at the Rabbinical College of America, and to found and direct the local Gan Eden Day Camp. Just as a personal note, as the registrar, his signature is actually on my bachelor degree, so that's something I'll cherish, have cherished, actually. Whereas his wealth of experience in various yeshivas throughout his life fueled his passion for securing an affordable and excellent education for all, which was made especially apparent in his establishment of the Alliance for Free Choice in Education and countless other efforts on behalf of the school choice movement, etc., etc. So, whereas it is there, and the last whereas is, it is altogether proper and fitting for this legislature to pause in its deliberation to recall Rabbi Israel Marcus Teitelbaum as a man of strong character and exceptional determination now. Therefore, be it known to all that the undersigned hereby honor the late Rabbi Yisrael Marcus Teitelbaum and extend sincere condolences and sympathy to all those who mourn him, and then the signature of all those legislators. I mean, you've heard it many times tonight. Determination, strength, courage, consistency, reliability. That's a theme that we're hearing over and over again from all quarters. Our next video presentation will be Rabbi Chaim Shapiro, who came to Morristown in 1998 to establish the first smicha program in our yeshiva, which has since become a flourishing success throughout the entire Lubavitch movement. He became Menahel of Tomachei Tamimim in 2016. A relative newcomer compared to all the 40-year friendships, but his relationship with Sruli only goes back 20 years.
As we stand here, gathered together for the Shloshim of our dear friend, Rebbe Yisrael Mordechai Olav Sholem Teitelbaum, it's appropriate, I guess, to share some of my zechronis, my memories of him throughout the years. Baruch Hashem, I was privileged to know Rabbi Teitelbaum for over 20 years, since I moved here to Morristown many years ago. And as soon as I moved here, so I right away created a kesher with him. And he reciprocated, regardless of the fact, notwithstanding the fact that he was much older than me. He actually reciprocated this friendship, and we became quite close. We worked together in the yeshiva for many, many years. And there was one thing that I can say about Rabbi Teitelbaum, working with him in the yeshiva, and anything else that was necessary and needed, complete reliability. If Rabbi Teitelbaum said it's going to be taken care of, you can go to sleep. It was done, it was taken care of, without any fanfare, without any fuss. He would come quietly and deliver whatever he said he was going to do. And it was such a pleasure to work with him. He wouldn't try to disturb you, he would call you to ask you questions about what he was doing. And then in all his other projects that he was working on, he used to always consult with other people to make sure everything he's doing is al pi halacha. his ehrlichkeit was unbelievable. He would call me all the time and discuss things with me to make sure that it was done properly. And it's a great lesson for all of us. And this week we just read the pasuk, the Parsha Vayetze, where we say the first pasuk, Vayetze Yankov in Beersheba. Rashi brings that when a tzaddik is in the city, he's the hoid, he's the hadar, and he's the ziv. He's the beauty and the shine of the city. And when the tzaddik leaves, pona hoida, pona hadara, pona ziva, you can feel that the shine and that beauty that the tzaddik left in the city leaves as well. It pains me to say this, but it's the truth. When Rabbi Teitelbaum is not here, and you come to shul, pona hoidoi, pona hadoroi, and pona zivoi, everyone knew Rabbi Teitelbaum was completely consistent when it came to the minyanim. He would come to the mikveh very early in the morning, and then he was always here by the minyan. He always came to the shiurim, and he always sat and learned, and he would stay after davening, and he would shmooze with people, and he would shmooze with guests who came. He really made everyone in the shul feel comfortable and feel mamish like he's his friend. And he did that with everyone. He didn't only do that with me. And it's something that we all felt. And that level of consistency is, I think, something that we all need to learn from him. In the good things, in the Yonim of Kedusha, in the Yonim of Torah Mitzvahs, and in the Yonim of Shiurim, we need to learn the power of being consistent. And the power of being consistent helps us continue to do what we need to do, even when the hardships happen, and even when it was difficult for him, and it was hard for him to come put on talis and tefillin. He still made it a point. He always came to shul, and interesting, he sometimes had a hard time put on his tefillin and his talis, and we wanted to help him. He wouldn't let. He wanted to do it himself. He wanted to see to make sure that he could put the talis and tefillin on himself. At some point when he wasn't able to, he allowed us to help him. And it was a big, big privilege for me to know Rabbi Teitelbaum and his whole family. He became close with many members of the family for many, many years. And his memory will always stay with me, stay with my family, and certainly stay with the whole city of Morristown. As I mentioned before, because Pona Hoida, Pona Hadora, and Pona Ziva. And I'm sure that he will be a good better and meditation for the whole family, for the whole Kehillah, and for the whole Klal Yisrael. And he was a fighter for many, many different things, for many, many things that need to be righted. And there's no question in my mind that he is right now beseeching the Kisei HaKavod by Hashem Yisborach and his Beis Din to fulfill those rights and help those rights be restored to our great country, to Klal Yisrael, to the whole world. That will certainly usher in the Bias Mashiach Tzidkenu, Unobila Hashem Alikim Moves Me'al Kolponim, Umach Hashem Alikim Diba Me'al Kolponim, and Bilo HaMoves L'Netzach.
Going to be on these videos tonight is that truly his influence was all over the place, was very wide. You see rabbis, political figures, and now here is a pretty much in the Jewish world, a world-famous musician. Yisroel Lam is one of the most well-known and beloved names in Jewish music. He has composed or arranged for and conducted some of the greatest landmark classics in the world of Jewish music. Among his many accomplishments, he is a key contributor to the Nagina Orchestra as well as the Miami Boys Choir. He was a friend of Rabbi T. back in their camp days.
This is Yisroel Lam. I'm very honored to be asked to say a few words on the occasion of the Shloshim of Rabbi Yisrael Teitelbaum, or Sruli as I knew him. We were really very good friends in our teen years, throughout our teen years. In fact, I considered Sruli my best camp friend. We spent a lot of time in different camps, Camp Aguda, Camp Tervadas. And on a lighter note, well, actually, I've been a musician, a ranger conductor, all my working life. I love it. And it was actually Sruli that really started the ball rolling. He was the shliach from HaKadosh Baruch Hu to get me involved in music. We were in Camp Aguda together. We were bunkmates, and Sruli was playing trumpet at the time. He was losing interest, so he used to leave his trumpet laying around, and people used to come by and give it a blow, something that wouldn't happen today. And I would also pick it up, fool around with it, and actually started playing a few songs. And Sruli would say, you know, you're good at this, you really should continue with this. And I did continue till the end of the summer, and then I figured that's it, move on to other things. And from camp, I went to my grandfather's farm. He had a farm in New Haven, and I was looking through the tower closet, and believe it or not, there was a trumpet over there. And I asked him, what's that trumpet doing here? He said, I used to play trumpet as a kid. And he gave it to me, and I took it, started playing it, eventually bought my own trumpet, and eventually became a trumpet player at weddings, bar mitzvahs. And yes, it's really started me off with this. I will always be grateful for that. On a more substantial note, a more serious note, we used to talk a lot. Sruly was a very deep thinker, even throughout his teenage years, and we spent hours discussing this and that. And I can't tell you that I remember all our discussions, but one trend of discussion I remember was Sruly was sort of leaning to joining Chabad, and I was leaning to joining Pirchei Yisrael that I was actually involved with at the time. And we would discuss the pros and cons, and Sruly was trying to get me interested in Chabad, and I really wasn't sure what the difference between Chabad and where I was, what the hashkafa differences between Chabad and where I was, and maybe just not shaving. I would have to give up shaving if I joined Chabad, but otherwise everything else was pretty much the same. So eventually we stayed great friends, even though I went to Pirchei, he went Chabad. Anyway, I understand that over the years Sruly did tremendous things for the Klal, something that we could all be proud of, and he should just be a Meilus Yosher for his family in Klal Yisrael and his Yehi Zechri Baruch. Thank you.
You know, Maestro Lamb's comments bring to mind another statement that Sruly would always say, and that he would say, you never know what influence you have on somebody. And all you have to do is lift your finger. Just go down, just start down the road and something will come of it. In this case, we see that he inadvertently, without even knowing it, influenced one of the real pioneers and real giants in the Jewish music world of today. So another one of Sruly's accomplishments. Our next presenter is going to be Dr. Zvi Weiss. Zvi is one of our Morristown treasures. He's our town doctor, but he's more. He's a friend of the community, and when he puts the care in health care, for us anyways. He has been my close friend since we were young men with growing families. Zvi, Sruly, and I were some of the few Chabadniks that lived in downtown Morristown, some distance from the yeshiva, and as such, we formed a kind of a tres amigos, like Three Musketeers type group. We were pretty close. Zvi was especially close with Sruly because, as you heard from Rabbi Shapiro, Sruly was learning every morning, and Zvi wisely took advantage of that and learned with Sruly many, many years before davening.
Hello, my name is Zvi Weiss. Rabbi Teitelbaum and I were neighbors for about 30 years. Initially, we lived next to one another downtown, and then we both moved up to houses closer to the yeshiva. It's really an honor to be able to remember him and to express how fortunate I feel to have been his friend for these many years. So allow me to relate just a few short events that bonded us together, and I hope I convey some of the love I had for him and some of his special qualities. Rabbi Teitelbaum and I learned for many years together in shul before davening. Our chief book was Chasidus Mivueres. We learned Chasidus together for years before davening, and it was inspiring. It helped davening. It opened our minds. But I want to say that special about it was he had many, many more years of learning than I did, and he knew a lot more than I did. But in our learning, he never, let's say, dominated, or he never taught. It was always a mutual experience. He welcomed me to read. He read, I read, we discussed. As I say, it was very special learning for me, and we did it for years, and it's my super fond memory of learning and being together with him. His gentle way, his soft way, his caring way, and his knowledge of Yiddishkeit and Hasidus. When we lived downtown together, I also had a wonderful memory of him on Thursday nights. He would come over to my house and he would help me set up our table Friday for Shabbos. And he would sometimes sing. We had young kids at the time, and he would sing to the kids, especially Hamalach HaGoel Osi and other songs, and relax them and help them and help put them to bed. If ever I needed something, who was the first person I called? If I needed a ride to the garage, if I was unable to go to the store and pick something up, I called Rabbi Teitelbaum, and there was never a time when he said, I can't do it, I'm busy, I'm not available. Even if it was out of his way and it took him away from his work, I know he would always say yes and help me out. Another thing was his favorite mimer was a mimer on V'ahavta l'recha kamocha, Ahavas Yisrael, a mimer on Ahavas Yisrael. I think it's by the Rebbe Marash. And I have to say that sometimes if I would get irritable, if something happened to me, he would always remind me of that mimer. And the essence of it was, we love ourselves, do we not? Yet we always take care to make excuses for ourselves and not criticize ourselves. And so too we should do for every other Jew. And he took that really to heart. And he never was critical of another person. He might have had differences with people, but it never was personal. And as I say, he never criticized anyone or spoke badly of anyone. And I never remember him ever saying any kind of lashon hara or anything like that. And of course, I could not neglect to say that he was the most passionate person I have ever met. He truly was a living example of dugma chai, of passion, commitment to an ideal, clarity of thought. I only wish for myself that I have the passion in my life for my activities that he had in his life, for his passion, his well-known passion. And he will be missed, and he's an inspiration to me every day in my life. And he'll be remembered and missed, and God willing, he'll be emulated. And Neshama Zolhaben and Aliyah.
Well said, Zvi. The next speaker needs no introduction inside or outside of Chabad. Founder and director of Beis Chana Institute in Minnesota, he helped educate and usher generations of Baal Tshuva women into the Hasidic life. A prolific public speaker, he is author of many books, including the best-selling Doesn't Anyone Blush Anymore? Rabbi Friedman's friendship with Sruli goes back to their days as joint head counselors at Camp Gan Yisrael, Detroit.
Sruli Teitelbaum should be a legend in Lubavitch, but he was too honest and too sincere. I knew him very well from Bedford, 770. Then we were together in Montreal for 2 years. We were Chavrusa for 1 year. But best memories were from Gan Yisrael, Detroit. We were co-head counselors for 4 years. And we were a great team because I did all the talking and he ran the camp. He ran it perfectly. Everything exactly planned out, executed, not a thing missing and not an extra waste of energy. People who went to camp in those days, till this day, they remember fondly. It was a great experience for all the campers and the counselors. And then His honesty and his sincerity were just amazing. I don't think he ever said an insincere word. He couldn't. Went against his character. And when he devoted himself to something, there was no compromise. Completely devoted. Fearlessly. Like his devotion to his last project to get the government to subsidize private schools, which is so essential, so necessary for most families. Did not give up, did not quit year after year after year, because he was emes. He was emes. He'll be sorely missed by many.
As the youngest member of the New Hampshire State Assembly ever elected, formerly a fellow at the Cato Institute, a public policy research organization, and currently director of policy at Education Choice in Scottsdale, Arizona. Jason met Sruli at the Tiferes Bechorim Yeshiva in Morristown in the early 2000s, and as a fellow advocate for school choice, formed a bond of friendship that has lasted till this day.
Greetings. I want to begin by offering my heartfelt condolences to the family of Rabbi Israel Teitelbaum, Zichrono Livracha, to Mrs. Chaya Teitelbaum, and to their 13 children and many grandchildren, and all the rest of the Teitelbaum family. Rabbi T was small in stature, but as everyone who knew him can attest, he had a very large soul. We met nearly 14 years ago. Shortly after I was elected to the New Hampshire State Legislature in 2006, I received an email from a rabbi in Morristown, New Jersey. He noted that we had many mutual friends, the Mears and the Blythes in particular, and that we also shared a passion, school choice. I had run for office on the issue, and he had already been working on it for more than a decade. He'd had some success in New York in passing a $400 million child credit, though not the full-blown universal school choice program that he'd always wanted. At the time, he was working on an article about school choice for Neshei Chabad, and his organization, Parents for Free Choice in Education, was sponsoring an extra 2,000 copies for the Kinnis HaShlichus. Since then, and I went back and checked, we've exchanged more than 700 emails and countless phone calls. I also had the distinct privilege of spending a good deal of time with Rabbi Teitelbaum while I was studying at Yeshiva Tiferes Bechorim. He was incredible, brilliant, passionate, principled, and very persistent. He knew what his mission was in life, to expand educational opportunity for all children. This was an issue that the Rebbe cared deeply about, and Rabbi Teitelbaum felt called to carry out that mission. He knew every sikha in which the Rebbe discussed school choice and frequently cited the Rebbe's Farbrengen on Yud Beis Tammuz of Tafshin Mem Aleph, in which the Rebbe explained how important it was not only that Jewish children receive a Jewish education, but also that non-Jewish children should learn that there is an eye that sees and an ear that hears. In the days since his Patira, I went back and I read through a bunch of the emails that Rabbi T sent me and other policymakers looking for inspiration and guidance. As he put it in one of those emails, quote, "At its very core, school choice is a divine, human, and civil right. Parents have a right to provide their children with a quality education that meets their needs, talents, and faith," end quote. Rabbi T knew his mission, and he was unrelenting and tireless in pursuing it. And yet he was not a zealot. I never heard him utter a bad word about anybody. He was a happy warrior. He was a mensch, and he never gave up. Rabbi T spent years advocating for proposals at the state and federal level, like the New Jersey Parental Rights Act, the Civil Rights Act for Equal Educational Opportunity, and the Education Freedom Accounts Act. He spoke about school choice with anyone who would listen. He took his message to grassroots leaders, policy wonks, state legislators, congressmen, senators, even the President of the United States. But he didn't just talk. He wrote letters to the editor, articles, books, including this one here that I keep by my desk for inspiration. He lobbied, he hosted events, ran campaigns, he organized. He founded organizations like the Alliance for Free Choice in Education. He even organized Camp Gan Israel. But he gave himself the humble title of Secretary of the Alliance for Free Choice in Education. Not President, not CEO, Secretary, because it was never about him. It was always about the mission. It was about the kids. He was fond of noting that in Pirkei Avos, Rabbi Tarfon tells us that it is not our responsibility to complete the task, but neither are we free to desist from it. Not only did Rabbi Teitelbaum never desist from the task, he also never lost hope that with the Eibusher's help, we would complete it. His emails always began with the same 6 words: by the grace of our Creator. In an email to state legislators in New Jersey last year, he wrote, "This is an opportunity to complete the task begun some 24 decades ago. It is now in our hands to complete the task, replacing muskets with compassion and unity. Together we will surely overcome all obstacles with help from above. May our efforts be worthy of the biblical promise, the infinite, your God, will bless you in all your deeds and your every pursuit." Rabbi Teitelbaum has now left it to us to complete the task, or at least to continue down the path that he blazed for us. May his memory continue to be a blessing and an inspiration for all those whose lives he touched. Zichrono Livracha.
Well, with young advocates like Jason Bedrick advocating for the cause, I'm sure Sruli's dream of school choice will, sooner or later, inevitably be fulfilled. The next presentation is from Sruli's son-in-law, Rabbi Mendel Solomon. Aside from being a very successful shaliach and rabbi of a large shul in Short Hills, one of New Jersey's most prestigious communities, Mendel Solomon is a role model of what a son-in-law should be. I know he'll kill me for saying that. Being a true friend to Rabbi T during good times and bad, he and Chana Devora made a comfortable and welcoming home for Chaya and Sruli during the most difficult days of Sruli's ALS, which was compounded in difficulty by the pandemic. I visited several times while the Teitelbaums were living there in Short Hills, and I was always met by the Solomons with a smiling face and a socially distant but emotionally sincere greeting.
As we mark this evening the Shloshim for my beloved Shver, Rabbi Yisrael Teitelbaum, also affectionately known as Sruli, Yisrael, Uncle Sruli, Rabbi Teitelbaum, Rabbi T, Tati, Shver, and friend. I just wanted to echo sentiments that we heard from everybody upon hearing of the untimely passing. Rabbi T, Shver, everyone shared that you were and will always continue to be in our hearts. Kind, disciplined, loving, caring, patient, understanding, giving, Baal Midos, smart, dedicated, and just a dear friend to so many. Ta, Shver, on behalf of Chana Devora, myself, Mina and Pinchas, Frida, Adina, Dovbe, Maya, and Kobe, and Dexter, we wish to convey to you, first and foremost, a very special thank you for giving us an amazing 9 months. When you moved in with us for quarantine, we got to spend time that is truly and will always be invaluable to us. And we miss you here. We miss you dearly, but we commit to continuing everything that was important to you in life. We will continue to make you proud. And on a very personal note, just wanted to say how much it meant to Chana Devora that she was able to this year get the blessing from you. Erev Yom Kippur, and for me, Ta, thank you for the years of guidance, help with my work, my inspiration, my sounding board, and just overall a dear friend. It's a relationship and a friendship that I will forever cherish and try to convey the same to my sons and daughters-in-law too. We love you, Tati. Te'enish Masei Tzura B'Tzara Chaim. Daven for us all.
It was a beautiful presentation by Mendel. We have just recently received a video from Choni. It has not passed through Yanki's meticulous technical vetting, but we're going to roll it and see what happens. Anyway, so this is a presentation from Choni Teitelbaum.
Good Vach. Unfortunately, could not be there tonight. Really wish I was. I have to do what you got to do. Here with a very special Yid who would like to say a few words about Tati.
although I didn't know him, so I was asking him before we did this video a little bit about him. And a person who fought for school choice, a person who fought for the rights of other Yidden, shows that he had a love for children, for families, for chinuch. And I just want to say that T'nachamum min Hashamayim, you should see consolation from heaven, and B'ezrat Hashem, his way that he taught you guys, and the way you elevate the neshama is act like him. So we have to continue to love, continue to fight for what's right. And he had a beautiful song that you were saying before.
Like you said, how to treat other people.
How you treat others, you're going to be treated. That's his mantra. And he did a song.
Shamayim haponim, haponim el ponim, kein lev adam el adam. The way that the water reflects your faith, so the heart of another reflects your heart.
It's amazing. That's what we have to teach. And all the Teitelbaum family involved with simchas, with video. I've been in touch with all you guys through the years. Continue to be Mesameach. You're part of Klal Yisrael intrinsically in their simchas, which we're here today in Miami, and this is what he's doing. So continue that. Continue to bring simcha to others. And the way you bring simcha to others, that's the way you're going to have simcha by you. That was the whole message. You should see only smachot, yeshuot v'nachamot for you and your family. Amen v'amen.
Thank you very, very much for coming. This is a few of us here in the studio, but really the family all around the world, and it just means so much to be able to go through this process, and today, together with everybody around the world, that Tati meant so much to. There's a question that my father asked all the time as part of the context of this mimer that he loved so much in the book of Derech Mitzvah, which is that there's a positive mitzvah. You should love your neighbor like yourself, and it's taught in the negative. Everyone knows the golden rule: don't do to others what you don't like done to yourself. So why would you flip something around from a positive to a negative? I'm not going to continue on that theme, but there is a similar question at the end of the Mishnah. And again, thank you so much to everybody around the world putting in hours and days to study this Mishnah so that we could complete all 6 sections of the Mishnah together around the world. And it finishes off with a statement about peace, my father's favorite topic. But it ends with a reverse statement. Loi matzah Kadosh Baruch Hu, God did not find a vessel that can hold the blessings as much as peace. Why say it in the reverse? But if we think of what we're trying to accomplish with this peace, the world that Hashem created doesn't make peace a challenge. It makes it almost impossible. If you ask Einstein how the world is created, he'll say you need 2 things. You have to have time and space. And both of those are divisions. Time gives each moment its separate time, and they never blend. Space gives everything its own little space, and nothing blends. And the Torah mentions those 2 plus soul. Not a person's soul, but ideas. 2 plus 2 equals 4, and 4 plus 4 equal 8. And they have to have their own identity. They cannot blend. So time, space, and our opinions, they have to be separate for the world to exist. Lo matzah Kadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem did not find a vessel. You can't find it anywhere in the world that can allow godliness, the blessing that Hashem wants to give. Hashem wants to share with us, be with us. There's no existence in the world that can allow that to happen. How does it work then? How do you go around that? Allah Shalom. Right beforehand, the Mishnah says that Hashem is going to lahanchil. Hashem is going to give an inheritance of yesh, an inheritance of 310 worlds. Why do you need 310 worlds? Rabbi Gutnick, Allah Shalom, from Australia, Rabbi Groner from Australia one time, he's sitting at a Farbring and he said he got 2 plane tickets to be able to comfortably sit on a plane. If you met him, you'd understand why. And one time they gave him 1 seat over here, 1 seat over there. He looks at the flight attendant. He says, "You want me to put my pants over there? You want me to sit over here? Like, what do you want? Why do you need 300 worlds?" But the idea is that the word 310 is yesh in Hebrew. It spells out yesh, existence. Hashem, and we're going to be able to inherit. Inherit is not a gift. It's not something we earn. It's an automatic recipient, a result of a lifetime. After studying Torah, the Mishnah begins, the beginning of all the entire oral Torah starts off with a question: what happens when the sun sets? What do we do then? We say the Shema. We recite how God is one. My father spent his life, every time you'd meet him, every time you spoke to him, you went on an elevator, he'd find a way to in there include this concept that we can all be able to get along together if we can look at the world the way God looks at it. We say Shema, we find God's love and God's purpose for every single individual in the world. That's the way we can't find a vessel for blessing in the world other than that principle. We study the Torah and we'll automatically inherit, will automatically it'll be conveyed automatically to us, this idea that every single person has a purpose. Everyone is loved under the Creator. And we'll finish the Mishnah, but I just want to say one personal note, which is that if we think about a message from my father, 1,000 things that he may have said, but really, his real lesson was something that he didn't teach in words, but he gave over lahanchel. It was an automatic conveyance, something that he passed on just by who he was. And so I want to finish off the Mishnah, and afterwards I'll continue by starting the beginning of it again, which is
Before we do it, I just want to thank a few people really quickly. I want to thank Moshe Morgenstern for making the trip down here and for representing Morristown, and it was a long trip for him. I want to thank Yoni for helping out with the food, Fegi for the advice, Beryl for the beautiful picture that we used, and it's been used around and he really didn't get credit for it. Fegi, Chanvara, Fegi helped me with advice, mentioned that already, and Mami for helping with everything. Thank you very much.
And the Mishnah begins with the words "Me'ebas Ha'kayrin Nishma Ba'arvin Mishash Ha'kayrin Chasen Lechel Mitrimasan." Atzef Hashmar Roshena. Chayin Merakashe Meratza Kadosh Baruch Hu Zakis Yisrael Fichel Herbal Mitzvah Mitzvah Shenemar. Adin Chafetz Man Tzidkei Avol Teir V'Yader. Yiskada Shmei Rabba. Be'olma Devrach Yerusei V'Yamlich Malchusei Yatzmach Barkane V'Karev Meshichei. Mechayechen V'Mechen V'Chay L'Chol Beis Yisrael Ba'agala V'Zman Karev V'Yimru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevarach La'olam La'omi Al-Maya Yisparech V'Yishtabach V'Yispar V'Yisreimam V'Yisnasei V'Yisadar V'Yisaleh V'Yisalol Shmei Dekutcha Brichu La'elam and Kol B'Chasa V'Shirasa Tishb'Chasa V'Nechamasa D'Amiram V'Yoma V'Yimru Amen Al Yisrael V'Al Rabbanon V'Al Tamideim V'Al Kol Tumei Samideim V'Al Kol Manda Oskim Bereisa Diva Asar Adein V'Di V'Chol Asar V'Asar Yehi Lahayin L'Chayin Shlama Rabba China V'Chista V'Rachman V'Chayin Richen Mezayne Reveche Farkana Men Kadam Avoyin V'Shmaya V'Imru Amen Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'Chayin V'Leinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Imru Amen
Thank you, Zalmi. At this point, the formal part of the evening is over, but there are going to now be just family snippets from all the kids, the mishpucha, throughout the world. As we all know, the Teitelbaum family is quite large, and each one is more brilliant and successful than the next, and they're all over the place doing all kinds of things. And they've all sent in some videos as a family. So again, the formal part of the evening is over. Thank you for joining and for making this occasion something special. And again, at this point now will be just family, informal snippets from all over the place, just videos that will be now streamed. Thank you, and good tavach.
Growing up, the biggest compliment I could ever receive was
Growing up, the biggest compliment I could ever receive was, "You're such a Teitelbaum." I know my siblings and I got that from you. Our love of music, our creative spirit, our love of nature, climbing every tree that we see, and our passion to stand up for what we believe in. I remember when I was about 9 years old, you took me to the dollar store around the corner, and you were buying baskets, and the baskets stacked up into each other. When we checked out, the cashier rang you up for one basket, and you said, "No, there are 3. Just taking the free baskets." You said, "I can pay for the baskets. I can't pay for honesty." That really stuck with me, that lesson that being a good person, an honest person, someone with integrity is invaluable. Todd, thank you for leaving me with that. I miss you.
Okay. The Felsenbergs are here to share some memories about Zadie.
Okay, so my first memory, I guess sort of, is Zadie walked 11 miles to my bris, and I've been told the story so many times it's almost as if I remember it myself. That's it.
One of my favorite memories was one time Ahuva and I were in Bubby and Zadie's apartment, and Mommy and Dossie had gone out on a walk, and we could see them out the window talking to some people, and we couldn't tell who. And then Zadie went into the other room, and just comes back with binoculars for us to spy on them and figure out who it was, and I just thought that was very funny.
David?
Zadie always talking about school choice passionately and teaching me about it as a kid, taught me how important it was to be aware of the issues, to talk with other people, and just engage. And I'm very, very glad he gave me that lesson.
One of my favorite memories is Abigail and I were at Bubby's and Zadie's apartment, and we never went, so it was this amazing thing when we went. And Zadie made us his pancakes, and they were the best pancakes I've ever eaten in my life, and they didn't even need syrup, and they were exactly what I imagine the mouse and mole pancakes to taste like, and it's just a good memory.
Okay, and I'm going to share a letter that I wrote to my father when he got really sick around Pesach time. So it's before Ariella and Nora were born, though they're referenced in the letter. Dear Tati, I'm writing this letter in case I can't say the words I want to when I see you. I also want you to have them in writing so you can read them again. When I look at the person I have become, I know that the core of my character and how I live my life come from you and the lessons you have taught me. My life, through my husband and my sons, has been dedicated to serving God and country. That patriotism and the love of the Constitution comes directly from you. So many of my childhood memories are the 4th of July celebrations, parades, Bob Grant, and the political American pride that you made important in my life. The cause of freedom, its price, its value, are things that you instilled in me, and I am and will always be grateful. The lesson that you taught over and over again about Ahavas Yisrael, living a life of giving others the same benefit of the doubt you give yourself, is how I try to live my life every day. Your words echo in my head. I teach them to others as I sometimes have to mitigate conflict. Always give someone the excuses you give for yourself. Thank you for that lesson. Thank you for the gift of life, for the songs you wrote and sang to us that I passed on to my children and now my grandchildren. Thank you for the books you read, chapter by chapter as we went to sleep. Thank you for the gift of the love of music. Thank you for the trips to High Point and the love of nature that they instilled. In short, thank you for everything. You have given so much to so many. I am but just one. Because of you I exist, as do my 6 kids and my 2, soon-to-be 4, Mitzvah grandchildren. I promise to continue to try to live in a way that makes you proud. I am honored to be your daughter. Thank you for being my father. I have loved you every day of my life and will love you forever. Your daughter, Dini.
Walking slowly onward, all alone I trudge along through this dark and dreary evening. No light to guide me forward, I must find my way. Stumbling on my pathway, I seek help, but all in vain, for there's no one here to show me how to bear my heavy burden and inflicted pain. To you I turn, as I nigh El Hashem, for I am lost. Tearful-eyed I cried, may I in your voice read. Hashem is my salvation, it's to him that I will turn, to his Torah and his mitzvot, to those dark and dreary evenings turn to morning rays. Hashem has cured my blindness, for now I can see the way. I will walk in paths of righteousness, no longer do I stumble, I have found my way. To you I turn, as I nigh El Hashem, for I am lost. Tearful-eyed I cry, may I in your voice read. To you I turn, as I nigh El Hashem, Hashem Echad, U'Shemo Echad, Esri Me'im Hashem.
One of my favorite memories of Zadie is when I was in about 3rd or 4th grade. I remember we went to Bubby and Zadie for Shabbos, and that day in school I prepared a special Dvar Torah to share by the Friday night meal, and I was so excited to share it and say it in front of everybody. And I realized that as I started speaking, everybody slowly got distracted. So somebody was serving or dealing with the kids or playing. But when I looked up, I saw that Zadie was listening the entire time, and at the end, he called me over to his seat and he asked me to specifically repeat it just for him, and he asked me questions on it and what I was learning in school. And I just remember feeling so special that my Zadie was asking me about my life and what I was learning, and he was really listening to me when I was sharing my Dvar Torah.
Baby, will get up and look out the window and see what a beautiful sight outside. Everything is white and everything is bright, and oh, what a beautiful sight outside. It covers the rooftops, the treetops, the pool-tops, the edges, the streets, and the cars outside. It covers the rooftops, treetops, the pool-tops, the edges, the streets, and the cars outside. Baby has never seen such a sight in a world so beautiful and so bright. Everything is white and everything is bright, and oh, what a beautiful sight outside. Who made the wind blow and who made the wind snow and who made the beautiful sights outside? Who covered the rooftop, the treetops, the pool-tops, hedges and streets, and the cars outside? Hashem made the wind blow, Hashem made the white snow, Hashem made the beautiful sights outside. He covered the rooftops, the treetops, the pool-tops, the edges, the streets, and the cars. I love you, Zadie. I miss you.
Qu'est-ce que tu fais? Guitare comme Zadie.